In 2016, officers shot behavioral therapist Charles Kinsey in North Miami while he was trying to get his adult autistic patient out of the street. The patient was playing with a toy. Many say this incident shows how important it is for first responders to get training about autism and how to handle those individuals during a crisis. More than 3 million Americans are on the autism spectrum. It is the fastest growing developmental disability. Here to share more is Belle Harbor Mayor Gabe Groisman and Belle Harbor Police Chief Raleigh Flowers. Thank you both for joining us today. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
So Chief, since we talked about that 2016 incident, any takeaways? What did we learn from what happened as far as, your team, your officers and officers, statewide? What did we learn from that?
Well, there's some takeaways, and one great takeaway from that incident is that law enforcement executives, police chiefs, need to make sure that our officers are properly trained to identify individuals who have who suffer from autism. This is a very important disorder that's not really defined to one specific zip code. It's covered abroad throughout the United States. And what we have to do is we got to make sure that our officers are prepared, they're properly trained. We have to invest in our officers to make sure that when they respond to these type of calls, they be able to detect an individual who may be suffering from autism.
On the screen, we're looking at some of the things you're teaching officers: to be patient, give them space, use simple and concrete sentences. Tell me about why are these things so important for officers to remember, especially in a crisis situation?
Well, your line of questioning. If you ask an individual with autism or who has an autism disorder, if you ask them a question and the way you phrase that question might elicit a different response. You wouldn't get the same response that you will get from a person who doesn't have autism. So how you phrase the question is very, very important in identifying an individual with autism and getting the appropriate response.
Mayor, your police department has been really proactive in educating officers. Why take on this role, and how did this come about?
This is something our city's been doing for a long time. We're blessed to have Detective Hector Gonzalez, who's one of the leading educators in the law enforcement community, not just in South Florida, but across the state. We saw a little bit of the video in the intro here. And it's something that's very important to us. This is a very inclusive community. South Florida is, and so is Belle Harbor. And this is something that now we're expanding into the general community, not just the law enforcement community.
Unfortunately, your city made headlines for perhaps not such, positive reasons. It recently came out that there was a family who had received a letter in the Belle Harbor area, a letter, to the family because they had a teenager with autism, saying that they weren't welcome in the condo anymore. Your reaction to that and what you're doing to sort of educate others on this issue?
Yeah, so about a month ago, one of our residents received a letter, like you said, under their door, purporting to be from their whole building. Really a nasty letter telling them to get out of the building because their daughter has autism. And the response, while it was heartbreaking as a father of 4 girls, it was heartbreaking as a neighbor and as a mayor, but the response is something I'm really proud of. The response from the entire community, not just the residents, but the city and the police department, was a strong and swift response, rejecting and repudiating that type of behavior. And everybody felt that response. And now what we're doing next week, Wednesday night at 7 p.m. in Belle Harbor Village Hall, is we're taking the skills of Detective Hector Gonzalez, which he usually uses to train police officers, and creating an autism awareness event, because I believe that ignorance breeds hate, and this is really an issue of if people are educated and they learn about autism and they learn how to handle and deal with people and interact with people with autism, that things will be better. So really we're taking what was a negative piece of news, a negative event that happened, and turning it into something that is a net positive.
And to be fair, the folks in the condominium, came out and said, this is probably just an individual. It's not, it doesn't stand for the sentiment of the whole, condo group.
Absolutely.
Chief, what is the one thing, the one mistake that you've seen other officers make? I know you're reaching out statewide to educate other departments, but what is the one mistake that you're really trying to work on with officers to change when it comes to dealing with individuals with autism?
Well, we've reached out to statewide. As a matter of fact, I'm happy to say that Belle Harbor is actually the leader in the statewide in educating public safety individuals and first responders on autism awareness. As the mayor mentioned, our Detective Gonzalez traveled throughout the state, and just recently he facilitated a training for the Miami-Dade County Association of Chiefs of Police, where I was serving in the capacity of the president of that association. And Detective Gonzalez, and I thought it was important that Detective Gonzalez share, as as a student in this classroom, share that awareness training with the chiefs. And if we start with our chiefs, getting our chiefs to understand the importance of autism awareness, the importance of how our officers should respond to these calls, how we should interact with individuals who may suffer from autism, how to identify individuals who suffer from autism, that our officers will respond accordingly. Now they're better educated on how to respond and identify.
It's not easy to do. You're, responding to a situation. You may not have any previous information on
Correct.
where you're responding to, who you're responding to. What are some of the key things? And explain to us, for an officer, it can be confused. Somebody with autism might be confused with somebody who might be on drugs. Can you talk to me about that?
Well, and there's certain things, like when the officer responds, sometimes there's very limited information that the officer may receive from the dispatcher when they're prior to arriving to the call. So if we arrive to a call and we see an individual that may, use the example that you provided, that may be displaying a certain type of behavior, or an aggressive behavior, or in a certain stare, the officer may interpret that as this individual might be under the influences of something. However, after this training, the officer now can expand the way that he approached this call, or the way that he interacted with this individual, to maybe determine, okay, the person may not be on drugs, may not necessarily be under the influence of drugs, but may be suffering from some type of mental disability, such as autism.
And you would say, Mayor, I assume that the reason why you're doing this, it's important for all of us to get educated on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent the morning on the phone with different residents who have children with autism, and I asked them, what do you want people to get out of the autism awareness training? So I want to share that with you and with the audience, which is people need to learn that people with autism, they feel, they hear, they understand, and most of the problems they have relate to communication. And it's important to, when you know that, you deal with people with autism in a compassionate manner, in a patient manner, and that you show support to the families who are dealing with the difficulties of raising and being with somebody that has autism, and the great parts, because people with autism share a lot of love and a lot of emotion, and there are people that, in speaking to families with children with autism, they'll tell you this is on the one hand maybe a disability, on the other hand it's a blessing. This is someone that knows only love and knows only happiness, and what they want is to be included and to feel compassion from their communities. And really, with the atmosphere in the world today, not just in the United States, around the world, it's great if we can try to help turn the tide a little bit with people feeling more compassionate, being more patient and open with one another. We'd all be in a better place.
Chief, real quick, anything that you are doing different, or you see your officers doing differently after the training?
Our officers are now more sensitive. Our officers are now more compassionate. Our officers are now being able to, after the training, are now being able to detect certain behaviors that may be consistent with an individual suffering from with an individual with autism. One takeaway that we learned from the North Miami incident that you mentioned earlier is that through these training, we can kind of avoid a situation or an incident like that. We can prevent those things.
Chief, Mayor, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And next week's autism awareness training takes place at the Bal Harbour Village Hall on Wednesday. That's May 30th, beginning at 7 p.m. The training and discussion is free and open to the public. We'll have more details on our Facebook page at Your South FL. Now, do you have a comment about autism awareness training or any of the topics on today's show? We really want to hear from you, so send us your thoughts via email or go to our Facebook page. Again, that's at Your South FL. You can send us a video or a message about what's impacting you and your community, and we look forward to hearing from you.